AM 560, The Answer.
The content and information on Real Estate Airwaves is for informational purposes only and should not be regarded as legal advice. Real Estate Airwaves does not provide legal advice and make no warranty or representation regarding the information on the show. Real Estate Airwaves shall not assume any liability for damages of any kind whatsoever relating to the use, misuse, or reliance of this information. The listener should conduct their own investigations, analysis, due diligence, draw their own conclusions, and make their own decisions. Any areas concerning taxes or specific legal or technical questions should be referred to lawyers, accountants, consultants, brokers, or other professionals licensed, qualified, or authorized to render such advice.
No fluff, no hype, no gurus. You're listening to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer. Get the inside information you need to find, fund, fix, and flip real estate in today's market. Joshua Ingalls and Vincent Pace share their secrets to minimize risk, maximize profit, and get deals done. We're pulling the curtain back and sharing the knowledge you need to succeed in real estate. And now, your hosts, Joshua and Vincent.
Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about how to find deals off the MLS and off market. This is a really exciting topic. My name is Joshua Ingalls, and I'm here with my co-host,
Vincent Pace of Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance.
And you're listening to Real Estate Airwaves. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit us at realestateairwaves.com. A little bit about myself. I'm a broker with United Real Estate, and I'm an active real estate investor here in the Chicagoland area. In the last 3 years, I've flipped over 60 deals.
And I'm Vincent Pace. I run Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance. We provide short-term financing to real estate investors of all stripes, and we've funded millions since I took over the business a few years back.
Awesome. Well, let's jump right into it. So the best ways to find deals off the market, in my opinion, last week we talked about free ways. This week, we're going to talk about ways you're going to have to spend some money. But next to driving for dollars, this is my favorite strategy, which is using direct mail. Direct mail can be extremely effective for finding people in various situations. We're going to be talking about people that are on probate, people that are in pre-foreclosure, people that might be in a divorce situation, and various other scenarios. But first, let's talk about direct mail and how to do that correctly. Direct mail is essentially sending letters directly to homeowners. So these are properties that are not listed. And what we want to do is send them a letter directly to their home and tell them that we're interested in buying their home. And a question I get asked frequently is, how often should I be sending someone letters? Well, the reality is a lot of these lists, which we'll talk about, that we get, we're not the only person that's mailing them. So if we send them one letter and that's it, more than likely your message will get lost in the 30 or 40 other letters that they might be receiving. So we really need to separate ourselves from other real estate investors out there. So what I like to do is send a minimum of 5 touches.
And one of the things that needs to be considered here is how frequently you send those touches. And so there's definitely different strategies to go about it. There's a balance that needs to be struck between being sort of a nuisance and kind of hitting them up over regular intervals where you might actually be able to kind of get them on the line and maybe close a deal with them. The 5 touch is actually, I think there's some marketing research behind it that shows, the average number of times you need to contact somebody to get a deal is X number of times. And I think that 5 touch strategy was built out of that. And you space them out over a certain amount of time to get them online and kind of keep your name in their head. So you might touch them the first time with some sort of mailer, and they might not be anywhere near a deal. They might not be ready to transact. They might not be ready to sell, whatever the situation is. But then several months down the line, let's say, they change their mind. And suddenly, they think, hey, who was that guy who kept writing to me wanting to buy this house? And then, they probably threw out your earlier mailers. And then they get the next one and say, here's the guy.
Absolutely. That's why doing it multiple touches, I like to keep it easy. I don't like to overcomplicate anything. So when I get a list, whether it be probate, pre-foreclosure, I send it on the same time of every month so I don't have to think about it. For example, the first Friday of every month, I usually send out my probate mailers. The second Friday of every month, I send out my pre-foreclosure mailers. So every single month and every single week, I know exactly which mailer is supposed to be going out. So I like touching people once a month. It's not so much of a nuisance, and it keeps you on their mind when they're ready to sell. And another question I get asked, well, what about the effectiveness of postcards versus letters? Now, I will have to say postcards are much cheaper. They're about the half the price that you will be spending on letters. But the issue with postcards, they're very easily thrown away. But at the same time, before they throw away your postcard, they've already read your message. And it's been a general rule of thumb is, for me, and what I've seen and what I've talked to other wholesalers and other investors, postcards are about half as effective, which is interesting because they're about half the cost of letters. So I don't recommend just doing postcards, or I don't recommend just doing letters. I actually recommend doing a blend of both. And what you should be doing, especially with the letter, is how do you get them to open the envelope and read your message? So you got to have some sort of hook, whether that be your envelope, whether that be a handwritten address. You know, if you just take a pre-printed, you use the mailing addresses that you can buy at Office Depot, and you send out 1,000 of those, the people aren't going to, when they see that, it looks like a mass mailing, versus if you have somebody actually handwrite that address, it's going to be much, much more effective.
And I'll tie that into the example we brought up in our last session. I mentioned that my mother was getting these sorts of mailers for a property that she owns in Pennsylvania. And one of the first ones she got, it had a handwritten address on the envelope. Now, I know that was printed, but it wasn't readily apparent when you looked at it. So she immediately opened it thinking, who's writing me handwritten notes?
Absolutely. And another thing you want to keep in mind, you know, you can get the bell stamps at the post office, but let's make that letter unique. Maybe you can get one of my favorite ones that I had was Disney stamps. I've used Batman stamps. I've used Barnum and Bailey circus stamps. Anything that's colorful, bright. Even a little trick that you might want to do is make it look like the letter's coming from a kid. Most people are not going to throw that letter away. I know people that have their kids put glitter on the letters. They put little stars on the letters. You really, really, really want to personalize this. So when somebody gets it in the mail, they're like, who is this letter from? And instead of putting your company name on the letter, you might want to consider putting your actual name. Now, if you're a real estate broker, you have to put your brokerage information on the return address. But if you're just a real estate investor versus saying ABC Homebuyers, you might want to put your name on that letter. And another little trick, you might just want to put your first name and their first name. So, for example, if somebody's getting a letter from, let's just say, John, and their name is Thomas, and the letter's addressed to Thomas on the envelope, and it's coming from John, it looks like John knows Thomas. So Thomas is very, very intrigued to open up that letter.
Another thing to note, and it gets back to the point that Josh was making earlier about postcards versus letters, is just the variety of what you send. You know, someone might be more likely to open something that looks like it came from a formal institution, you know, some formal letter from a bank. Others are going to jump on these letters that look like they're from kids, others the handwritten ones. So one point to kind of take home from all this is make a variety of different approaches. Different people will open different things. But all the same, each time you're kind of pointing them in your direction so that they will remember you when it comes time that they actually want to do something with the property.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of investors and even myself that actually will take multiple approaches when I send somebody a direct mail piece. For example, I'm a real estate agent, so one of my letters is very, very real estate driven, meaning, you know, hey, my name is Joshua Ingalls. I'm a broker with United Real Estate, and I have an investor that wants to purchase your property, or I have a buyer that wants to purchase a property. And so with that letter, it's appealing to somebody who might want to work with a real estate agent. Now, at the same time, we're sending another letter from where it looks like it's coming from somebody more personalized. And then we also have a letter, for example, where it's actually looks like a check that they get in the mail. So how many people will throw away an envelope with a check inside? So, for example, you can actually write the amount that you're going to purchase that house for, and even put it on the little window so they see a check for $150,000, for example.
Couple quick points on why direct mail has some real benefits. You're going for off-market properties, so there's not really going to be any competition. If you find the lead, there probably isn't going to be anybody else, except maybe other direct mailers who are attacking the same target. Another way it's better is that there's not going to be any commissions involved, so you'll be able to save a bit of money on that. Homeowner also gets benefits because they have the ease of not needing to fix things up, and you can work on their timeline.
Absolutely. So this is Real Estate Airwaves. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 callers or people to enter their information on our website will actually get one of the mailers that we use when we send direct mail to our clients. We hope to see you at the next segment. We're going to be talking about probates. See you soon.
Mortgage rates are still near historic lows. If you're looking to buy your first home, upgrade, downsize, invest, or refinance, contact Matthew Ewald from First Advantage Mortgage, a Draper and Kramer company. Matthew's been a trusted mortgage consultant for over 13 years and has options to fit your unique needs. With 40-plus investors, call Matthew today at 630-376-0484. That's 630-376-0484. Or apply online at mortgagechicagoland.com. Company NMLS 2551, NMLS 198323. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee, Equal Housing Lender.
If you want to do real estate deals, you need to learn the systems. Visit fliptoriches.com for info on workshops happening the first Tuesday of every month. Meet me, Joshua Ingalls, and other active real estate investors in the Chicagoland area. We give the most value possible with networking and information for new and seasoned investors. We meet the first Tuesday of every month at 3009 North Kedzie in Chicago at 6 p.m. Check out fliptoriches.com. That's fliptoriches.com for all the info now.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. It's all about making money with real estate. Now, back to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
Thanks for tuning back in. We're talking about the best ways to find properties off the market and going directly to the sellers. Now, one of my favorite ways to do that is by sending mailers to people in probate. You're listening to Real Estate Airwaves. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, and you can visit www.realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 people that enter their info on the website or call will be getting a copy of the letter I sent to people in probate. So one of the questions I get asked, well, what is the probate process? Well, probate is simply when someone passes away and there perhaps might be a home associated with that. So, for example, somebody owns a home and they pass away. Well, in order for it to be passed to the heirs, a lot of times it has to go through the probate process, because what that allows is for any creditors that might have been owed some money to put a claim on that estate. So believe it or not, sometimes people will come out of the woodwork saying, yeah, that person owed me $5,000 for painting job I did for them 10 years ago. So people have 6 months to put a claim. So that's why the courts have this probate process. So it's actually, the people can't sell, they can sell the home, but the money goes into this account. And once all the creditors and they haven't made their claim, then that money is released to the heirs. So where do you get those probate records? Well, there's various websites that you can purchase these leads. There's actually many national list providers. I like the local list provider we have here. You can get them at the public records, of course, at the county. But the favorite website that I use is ilfls.com. And you can get all the probate records here for Cook County, DuPage County, Will County. I like it because it's all in one place versus me having to go to Cook County, Will County, DuPage County. They they charge for their services, but it's all in one place. And I've actually tested their data, and it's very accurate. So people ask me, well, why are probates good to mail to? Well, they're great to mail to because people really only have 4 options when a home is in probate. Number 1, they can keep the home in the family. That rarely happens because usually there's multiple heirs or multiple beneficiaries. And that usually means that only one person is going to benefit from that. So that very, very rarely happens. Option number 2 is the family can keep the home in the family and rent it out. Now, again, that's very rare that happens because usually one person is doing all the work, and that's usually the administrator who is the one that we're actually sending the direct mail to. And so one person's doing all the work, and then the rent's getting split up 4, 5, maybe even 10 different ways. So again, these first 2 options are very, very rare. 9 out of 10 times when a home is in probate, the property's in probate, they're going to sell the home. That's either going to be A, to an investor directly to us, or they're going to sell it using a realtor.
And I think a large part of the reason you're going to see it fall to those second 2 is because the home is often going to need some kind of upkeep. And the heirs who may be out of state, who may be remote, or who may not be nearby, it's often going to be a headache for them to try and deal with it. So that's where you get this great opportunity to come in and try and get a property at a good price and kind of take it off of their hands without headache. So both parties get the benefit in a situation like this.
Absolutely. The benefit that we have as investors is that we're buying this home as is, meaning the sellers, the heirs, the administrator don't have to lift a finger. So when I send a letter, I say, you don't have to even clean out the house if you don't want to. We'll buy it with everything in the house. You can take out what you want, some things that you might want to take that are special to your family. Yeah, you're absolutely free to take those out, but everything else, leave in the house. We'll donate what's good, and we'll take care of the rest.
We've actually seen a borrower one time. He got a collection of 1960s comics doing this, and he was able to sell them for a few grand. So not much, but something.
Absolutely. You never know what you're going to find. But if we can be that and we communicate that properly to the homeowner, they're prone to work with an investor over a realtor. Because what's a realtor going to make them do? A realtor is likely going to make them at least clean the house, but more than likely clean out the house, which could be a process. I've seen where sellers go there once every other weekend, and it takes them over a year to simply clean out a house. Now, if you can communicate properly to an administrator why we're a benefit to work with them, number one, they don't have to clean out the house. They can sell the house quicker because they don't have to do all that work to clean out the house. And number 3, we're going to save them from paying any sort of realtor commissions. And another great strategy that I like to mail to is pre-foreclosures. Now, pre-foreclosure, these are homes that have not been taken back from the bank yet. These are homes that maybe most of them are, actually all of them are going to be behind on payments in some sort of another. Now, some of these pre-foreclosure homes may have equity, and some of them may be upside down. So we need to, with this website that I gave earlier, ilfls.com, you can actually also pull pre-foreclosure records. So I use ilfls.com for probates and pre-foreclosures, and I can actually see the loan balances on these homes. So I can see if I want to tailor my message to, hey, we can help you with a short sale because you owe more than what your house is worth, or we could just buy it outright if the home, for example, is owned free and clear or it has a very, very low mortgage.
So, Josh, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about what exactly a short sale is?
Absolutely. Sure. Short sale is when you purchase a property when the seller owes more than what the house is worth. So, for example, let's say somebody has a mortgage with Chase for $200,000 and the home is only worth $150,000. Now, in order for that seller to sell that home, they either need to bring that $50,000 to the closing table or they can work with the bank and do what's called a short sale. So the bank allows them to take less than what is owed on the home. And in order to do that, the people typically have to be behind. There are some short sales now where the homeowners can be current, but they need to have some sort of hardship. So, for example, loss of a job, change of a job where they're not making as much as they used to, a death in the family. We can help people in these situations sell these houses that they literally might be trapped in, that they're paying month after month after month, and they're stuck in these homes.
So to take a look at that from the lender side, if a house is worth $150 and you're owed $200 on it, you know there's a good chance you're not going to get that back. So that's what's going to bring the lender to the table. They're going to say, well, I could negotiate right now and sell this to an investor for $140, or I could go through a whole legal process, incur those costs, and still only sell it for maybe $150 at the end of that. So that's how the parties all get to the table in the case of a short sale, in which the amount the lender gets back is short of the principal they actually provided for the property.
Absolutely. It's actually in the benefit of the bank to do a short sale, because the foreclosure process for a bank, and I don't know the numbers exactly, but it's anywhere between $10,000 to $30,000 that a lot of these banks cost. The cost is just to foreclose on the person. Then they have another $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 that they're spending to maintain these properties, property taxes. They have agents that are maintaining these properties. So it's a win-win-win situation when you do a short sale. The bank, they don't get all their money back, but they get most of it, and they get more than if they foreclose. The homeowner wins because in a lot of cases they're released of the house and any loans and being upside down. And in some cases they're even getting money back. And then we win because we're able to get these properties at a very deep discount. Now, in order to do short sales, you need to have a good short sale agent on your team, or you can use a title company like one of our sponsors, National Title Solutions. Not all title companies do this, but they will actually negotiate the short sale for you. And that's a free service that they provide. They get paid actually by the bank, but it's a great way that you can find properties off the market and targeting pre-foreclosure homes that need work. This is Real Estate Airwaves. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 callers will be getting a copy of the letter that we send to people when it's off market. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about finding deals using bandit signs.
You're an investor, a lender in commercial real estate, or you're an attorney, and you use a title company. National Title Solutions wants a chance to be your title company. Give them a shot at your business, and you'll find out why they're the best choice. Most title companies keep banking hours and have no flexibility. National Title Solutions will do whatever it takes on your timetable. You'll save money, too. Give them an opportunity and see the difference. Convenient offices all over. National Title Solutions. Call 800-NTS-2700. 800-NTS-2700.
This is Joshua Ingalls, broker with United Real Estate and radio show host. When I need to pre-qualify a buyer, I use Matthew Ewald from First Advantage Mortgage, a Draper and Kramer company. I've worked with Matthew for over 2 years, and I highly recommend him to all my clients and investors. Call Matthew Ewald today at 630-376-0484. That's 630-376-0484, or apply online at mortgagechicagoland.com.
Company NMLS 2551, NMLS 198323, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee, Equal Housing Lender.
The Chicagoland Real Estate Investment Group invites you to build your network in real estate investing and learn from the region's experts. There's no charge to attend, and there won't be any hard sell for expensive courses. Join us on the fourth Monday each month in the North Shore. For more information, visit us at meetup.com/ChicagolandREI. Again, that's meetup.com/ChicagolandREI. Meetup.com/ChicagolandREI.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. Now, back to the show that gives you the insider info. Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to Real Estate Airwaves. Today we're talking about ways to find deals that do require some sort of expenditure. So we've talked about direct mailing. We've talked about two sources of places you can get targets to mail to. One was probate, one was pre-foreclosure. Before we move on to our next topic, I'd just like to quickly touch on another, which is divorce. A lot of times in a divorce situation, the divorcing couple will be looking to sell their property. So in a similar way to probate and pre-foreclosure, they're an opportunity for you to send mailers to. In a similar manner, the two main places you're going to look for this information is there are providers of lists who actually will go ahead and search the public records for you and compile the lists. And of course, tying back to last week's show, you can also go directly to the public records. So let's move on to another tactic. So this is the next tactic we'd like to focus on is called bandit signs. So first question is, what's a bandit sign? So it's basically a sign put up somewhere in a neighborhood that says something like, "We buy homes for cash," and it has a number. You've probably seen them at some point driving around, posted on a telephone pole or something similar. The first question in those signs is sort of, where do you place them? You can go to a variety of neighborhoods. Now, I've heard different things about the effectiveness of these in different neighborhoods. I've heard before that in sort of more expensive neighborhoods, they're actually somewhat effective because the people who call those signs will be in fairly dire straits and we need to make a sale pretty quickly. So you get some significant benefit from there. But I've also heard that they're sort of better in sort of, lower price neighborhoods where it's more common to find somebody who'd be willing to call a sign like that. So I think it's going to be a bit of trial and error, I think, for any of you who do put that out there. We've seen a variety of systems of people using these. Some people will specifically map them, and they do get taken down. They do fall off or whatever, so you have to kind of keep on top of it. They have someone go place them. They see how they're doing. They'll see what areas they're getting leads from, and you can kind of pinpoint it to the place where you posted the signs. One of the big downsides of these sorts of signs is that you may get fined for them. Not every place will allow you to simply post these signs at random. So if you do get fined, you just have to make sure that the economics of it makes sense. Are you making more money off of deals that you're getting from these signs than you are from the costs of the fines that are being placed on you? So the next thing that's something of a con, and I'll let Josh dive into that. What do real estate agents have to worry about with these signs?
Yeah, so real estate agents, you're really not allowed to use bandit signs. So I'm an agent. I can't use bandit signs. One of the reasons why is it's blind advertising, essentially, is what it is. So if you're just having a message like "we buy houses" and a phone number, that's considered blind advertising. You need to have on there your brokerage name, where your brokerage is located, and that sort of thing. So if you have that information and you're in a town, well, now the town knows exactly who you are and where to send you those tickets. So as a real estate agent, there are some negatives that you need to take into consideration if you're thinking of getting licensed. And one of those negatives is that you can't use bandit signs. So since I've been licensed, I haven't used bandit signs because, again, they are what they imply. They're bandit signs. For the most part, cities are not going to be happy that you're putting these in their backyard, and they can give you some very, very hefty fines per sign. I know a real estate investor that literally, I think the city wanted to charge him, I believe it was $1,000 per sign, and he had somewhere around 40 or 50 signs that they documented of him. He went to court. He got the fines reduced drastically. Had he not gone to court and fought it and gone to the judge, he would have been looking at a $40,000 to $50,000 penalty. Now, if he was getting deals left and right where he was making $40,000 to $50,000 off of, and he got 10 deals, well, I definitely think it would be worth it. But that's something you need to consider when you're thinking about doing bandit signs.
So there's a question there of how you actually figure that out. And I think the easiest way is probably going to be to simply go to networking events and find wholesalers and other people who may make use of this in the area you're focusing on and talk to them. it's going to be hard, I imagine, to dig up a law that says, here's what a bandit sign is going to get you a fine. I mean, it's out there somewhere if you know what you're doing. But the easiest way, I think, is going to be just to do your due diligence with local real estate investors at networking events.
And when I was doing bandit signs, I mean, a lot of times the cities would call me, and they wouldn't necessarily, they'd just say, hey, we want you to take these down. It wasn't as drastic as this. So this other case is very is very rare, but you do have to keep in mind that if you're going to really, really put out a ton of signs, you got to keep that in mind. And
Josh, when you were doing the signs, what was your typical cost on them?
So a sign is going to cost you anywhere between like $2.50 all the way up to $4, depending on how many signs you order at a time. So when I'd order them, I'd order at least 100 signs at a time, so my price would go down. If you're just going to order one sign, you're going to pay like $15 because they have to manually make that sign. So you can visit supercheapsigns.com. That's a website. Just Google it, Bandit Signs. There's lots of resources out there. You're listening to Real Estate Airwaves. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES. Or you can visit us at realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 callers or people that enter their info on the website will be receiving a copy of the letter that we use to send to people when they're in probate.
Real estate agents are cheap. Many agents will only market your home on the MLS and put a sign up. Demand more. Joshua Ingalls invests in aggressive marketing, including high-def video, 3D virtual tours, professional photography, a custom website, and mailers, so you can get the most amount of money for your home in the shortest amount of time. Call Joshua Ingalls, broker with United Real Estate Chicago, at 630-544-1504 for a free home valuation, or visit HomeTeamIL.com to learn more.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. Now, back to the show with real estate info you won't find anywhere else. Real Estate Airwaves is on AM 560, The Answer.
Today we are talking about how to find deals with some kind of expenditure. Last week we spoke about how to do it for free. So we've spoken about doing mailers, and we've moved on to bandit signs. Now we'd like to talk about something more along the lines of bandit signs, in that you're producing some kind of print ad. So there's a variety of places you can post print ads. Newspapers are one, phone books, the kind of coupon books, penny savers, those sorts of things. And these are things that would be kind of in the hands of people in a community that you're looking to make acquisitions in. And the first question you kind of come to is, what do you actually include in the ad? And generally, it's going to be pretty similar to what you include in a bandit sign. It's a basic message provided with some way to actually reach out to you, to contact you, typically a phone number. So it might just say, we buy homes for cash, quickly, easy close, something along those lines. You keep it simple, eye-catching, and provide a way to actually be contacted.
Yeah, and you think about your target audience. Who are you targeting when you're advertising in newspapers, phone books, coupon books? You're actually appealing to usually an older crowd. Most younger people are going to be using the internet. Print advertising, of course, is a dying media, but the reality is that older people still read the newspaper, and these are the people usually that we want to target, because most of my sellers on all the homes that I've bought directly from sellers have been older. They've had a house in the family for a very long time. They weren't able to keep up with the home. The home went into disrepair for one reason or another, and I was able to help them. So a good example of that, I had a phone book ad where I got a really, really good deal in Downers Grove. The lady contacted me because my company name is Midwest Real Estate Solutions, and Solutions, she liked the fact that was in the title. She had 3 real estate agents that went through the house. None of the agents were able to help her because the house was full of junk. It needed a bunch of work, and it was in an affluent area, and the realtors didn't want to be associated with this kind of home. And literally, this lady, I think this phone book literally saved her life. She told me at her kitchen table, me and my brother, that she had a bottle of pills on the table, and she said, "I'm happy," or I'm so glad that I met you two. I don't know the exact wording she said, but thank God that I came across you guys, or I would have taken this bottle of pills because I didn't have any other option. So it was really a godsend that she saw our ad in the phone book. We bought her property. We bought her a new condo to live in Downers Grove. Again, what realtor is going to buy a condo for somebody before they buy a house from somebody? There's probably zero realtors out there. They have their box that they're going to do. I'm not harping on real estate agents, but there's only so much they can do for someone. So as real estate investors, we need to see how can we help people. And so, again, using the print advertising, newspapers, phone books, the real thing about these mediums, though, is that there is going to be a pretty significant capital investment needed for that if you're going to be advertising every single week in a newspaper or in a phone book. So you got to keep that in mind.
So, Josh, I know you've used these before. Can you throw out some numbers so we could get an idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's really all over the board. So if you want to advertise locally, let's say in like a Naperville Sun or Bolingbrook Sun, you might be looking at $100 to $200 to put an ad in a local newspaper.
And would that be once per week, or do they run daily, or how's it set up?
That would just be for one ad out of one paper. And that's usually like a weekly newspaper. Once you get into the larger newspapers like the Tribune or the Sun-Times, your expenses go through the roof. Now, probably I haven't advertised in a newspaper for quite a while. The prices are probably coming down because newspapers, again, are a dying medium. And what you can also do with the Tribune, for example, you don't have to send it to all of Chicagoland. Chicago Tribune actually has it broken up into regions. So, for example, if you only want to advertise in the North Shore area or north side of Chicago, I don't know how much customization is there, but there is some customization. So you're sending the newspapers out to geographic regions versus blanketing all of Chicagoland, which is going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah, and the other mediums should be a bit cheaper than newspapers, phone books, and that sort of thing. One other thing I'll just throw out there is you might have a local sort of bulletin board. I think of the supermarket that we go to. There's actually kind of a bulletin board where you can post whatever for free. They let you just stick something up there with a tack. That's the kind of thing you might be able to find in your public library, in your local supermarket. It could be another place to put the same kind of ad.
Starbucks.
Yeah, absolutely. So to turn to a couple other topics before this segment's over, one thing we wanted to mention was billboards. This is something that people can use. Obviously, it's going to be significantly more costly than a lot of these other ones. A seg from there is you may have seen at some point these billboards that say, "We buy ugly homes." That's actually a franchise that's open to investors. The way it works basically is that you pay a franchise fee, and it's significant. It's a significant outlay. And then once you're in this franchise, you get to contribute to a marketing budget for an area, and you get a portion of the leads generated in that area based on how much you contribute to the marketing budget. So if you contribute 25% of the marketing budget for the region, you get 25% of the leads. It's a very expensive way to do it, and you need a way to capture the leads. But from our borrowers who have been involved with it, they've generally said they've enjoyed it because it's provided them with significant leads. So something to consider if you have some outlay to pay for the franchise costs, and also if you can handle the incoming leads that'll be generated.
This is Real Estate Airwaves. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 people to call or enter their information online will receive a copy of the letter that I sent to probate. This is Real Estate Airwaves. Stay tuned for the next segment.
You're an investor, a lender in commercial real estate, or you're an attorney, and you use a title company. National Title Solutions wants a chance to be your title company. Give them a shot at your business, and you'll find out why they're the best choice. Most title companies keep banking hours and have no flexibility. National Title Solutions will do whatever it takes on your timetable. You'll save money, too. Give them an opportunity and see the difference. Convenient offices all over. National Title Solutions. Call 800-NTS-2700. 800-NTS-2700.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. It's all about making money with real estate. Now, back to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. Today we've been talking about ways to find deals that cost some money. So we started out describing direct mail, how to send it, how frequently to send it, and how it can be a great way to get leads that go directly to you with no competition or lesser competition in the market, and also no need to pay real estate brokers or other commissions that would come on a standard deal that you might find on the MLS. We spoke about several ways to actually get leads for direct mailing. We talked about probate, properties that were owned by people who passed away, and the process to get that. We spoke about pre-foreclosure deals that are on their way into a foreclosure with a lender that you can help to get through a short sale. And we talked about also using divorce records to do that. And this ties back into last week's show where we spoke about how to use public records. There's obviously people who provide lists for all of these for paid services, but then once you have the list, whether you got them through public records generated yourself or whether you bought them, you'll obviously need to expend some capital to provide the marketing materials to each person on that list. We then moved on to talk about bandit signs that you hang in a neighborhood that say something simple like "We buy homes for cash," and they provide a phone number for them to reach out to you. We talked about how much they cost and the kinds of fines you might run into for those and the kinds of leads that they can get you. We dove into print ads, advertising in newspapers, phone books, penny savers, all sorts of things like that. We spoke about billboards, an option for you, and also an option you can dive into through a franchise called a franchise that is branded under We Buy Ugly Homes. The franchise is actually called Homevestors. Significant outlay of capital there, but it can lead to leads that could be interesting for you.
Yeah, out of all these that we talked about, of course, direct mail, especially to probates, is my favorite way to find properties off the market. We're able to really help a lot of people that are in these situations. A loved one's passed away. And really the key to the success in this business is consistency.
You've been listening to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer. Come back next Sunday at noon for more insider real estate information from Joshua and Vincent. You can listen to past shows, contact them, and get free exclusive content at realestateairwaves.com. That's realestateairwaves.com.